Hello, I'm Dale Minyo. What do you do when you find a baby animal you think has been abandoned or an injured animal? Well, we talked with the leader of an organization which rescues mammals ranging from squirrels to coyotes so that they can be rehabilitated or given a safe home if they can't.
Our organization is called Ohio Nature Education. We're a private nonprofit volunteer organization. I founded the organization back in 1997, and what we do is we have two missions. Number one is we provide a home for permanently injured wild animals that can no longer return to the wild. We currently provide a home for 50 wild animals that will be with us for the remainder of their lives. I would say 99% of them are native to Ohio. We have opossums, skunks, foxes, hawks, owls, crows, flying squirrels, snakes, and bats. So that would be our first mission, is to provide a home for wild animals that need a home. Our second mission is why we're at the State Fair today. We conduct environmental education programs. We incorporate these live animals. We use them as a teaching tool, ambassadors, as we like to call them. And basically we conduct over 300 programs a year, anywhere in Ohio that people call us out. A lot of our programs are at schools, but we also conduct for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the fair. We even do wild birthday parties. Well, the organization was founded back in May of 1997. So I'd worked in the wildlife rehabilitation aspect of this field, but also in the environmental ed. And I felt, it was my personal opinion, that in order to do the best that we possibly can, we had to focus on one mission. And that is why we have focused on environmental ed. When we first started out, we had, and people need to be aware that, of course, we don't just take wild animals out of the wild. We do have state permits and federal permits. State permits being from Ohio Division of Wildlife. Federal permits are required also, and those are from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So when we first started out, we were a pretty small organization, and we started out with a couple of bats and a red-tailed hawk and a great horned owl. So we went from maybe doing our first year 125 programs, and our highest number of programs that we've done in one year would have been 2008, and that's when we conducted 327 programs, and we reach anywhere from 25,000 to 35,000 people a year. One of our biggest challenges, and I think that's true of a lot of nonprofit, is that is the funding, is finding money to keep the organization afloat. Most of our fees, our money comes from program fees for going out and doing programs. We also have an adopt an animal sponsorship. We also have membership that people can become members, but we do some grant writing. We always accept donations, and it's not always monetary donations. We've been very fortunate in that organizations or companies will make in-kind donations to us, and really without those donations we would never be able to survive. The primary thing that we want people to do is when they come across an animal that they think is abandoned, is they need to call a wildlife rehabilitator first. Whether it's our organization, Ohio Nature Education, at the very least you can certainly call your county wildlife officer or even the zoo for a referral. But what we want to make sure is that the animals really need our help. A lot of times we want to step in when it's not necessary. Birds go through a stage when they are out of the nest but unable to fly. And a lot of times you get people that, oh, that bird's been abandoned, I'm going to pick it up. They're quite unaware that the parents are nearby. Earlier we were telling some folks, because we get a lot of calls during the spring and summer about baby rabbits. And we get calls from people saying, hey, there's this little baby rabbit, he's all on his own, you need to rescue it. And obviously, you know, what we tell people is, if we have to step in, if something is truly injured, yes, we will step in. But in a case of a rabbit, they are on their own at 3 weeks of age. So we tell people, look at your open hand, measuring from your wrist to the tip of your middle finger. That size is how big a rabbit is on its own at 3 weeks of age. And if there is no longer a white stripe on its forehead, it is on its own. Some of the advice that we want to give to the public is, you know, use your common sense. If you can walk up to a wild animal so close that you can touch it, that is not normal behavior. Wild animals view us as predators, and if you can get so close to one that you can touch it, there's something wrong with it, and that's when you really need to exercise caution. There are diseases out there that we can contract from wild animals, and we want to keep the public safe. We don't want people to be paranoid if you see bats parks in your neighborhood, they are absolutely very beneficial. But it's a different thing to find one down on the ground. If someone wants to learn more about Ohio Nature Education and our work, we do have a website, which is at www.ohionature.org. We do have a calendar that lists all the public programs that are available. We obviously don't list the private programs because we do conduct a lot of programs at schools and birthday parties and whatnot. We also are on Facebook. We have some very interesting videos on our Facebook page.
Down the Road is brought to you by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen cattle feed, Woodruff Enterprises of Springfield, Ohio, and Stewart Labs, makers of pain relieving products.